Hi everyone, my name is Marquis Matson. I am a senior academic advisor at Miami-Dade College, and today I am doing a quick presentation on how to choose a major before you come in. The reason why I chose this topic, and I could choose almost any topic under the sun, but the reason why I chose this topic is because most of our students that come in, they really have no idea what they want to do and they don't know where to start. Their main priority is coming, getting their AA or AS degree, and getting out of Miami-Dade and onto their lives. And I think that's a very fantastic goal. However, if you don't know what you want to do, that's going to slow you down and you're going to waste a lot of time and money in classes and semesters that don't really mean much to you. So it's really important for you to explore your options now while you're in high school, before you even begin. So at the very least, even if you don't know what you want to do, you can have an idea of the requirements and maybe match up some careers that meet the class needs that you want. So that way you're not wasting your time. So this presentation is just going to be on that, and I'm going to be using Florida Choices, which is a website by the Department of Education here in the state of Florida. So it's very current and it's real information on jobs and what the pay is and how to get into that career. So it's very, very useful. You can do it from home, you can do it from McDonald's, you can do it from Starbucks. I know both those places have free internet because I use it when I don't have internet at home. So you can do it anywhere and research it, and it's pretty quick and it's a lot of fun to shop around for careers, which I still do to this day just because it's fun to compare how much I make compared to other careers and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and begin on the next slide. And before we start playing with what career you should do, there are some important questions that you need to ask yourself first. First, you want to know, what hobbies do you like? One time I asked a student this during an advising session. I said, what do you like to do? Because he didn't really know what major to be. And he said, well, I think that's a silly question. Why should I tell you that I like to go watch movies on the weekends? And I thought, well, because it's very important, because then that tells me that you like to do those sorts of things. I know that you like to be inside. I know you appreciate film. Maybe you're a little bit artistic. I don't know, maybe what kinds of movies will tell me a little bit about yourself. So you need to ask yourself the same thing. In the hobbies that you are doing, where are you? Are you inside? Are you outside? Are you moving, or are you sitting a lot? Is there a lot of concentration? Are there numbers involved, like in a puzzle maybe? Or maybe you're playing a lot of sports, or you're playing with a lot of people. Those are really good things to pay attention to. Maybe not necessarily the hobby itself, though that would be fantastic if you could get paid to do your hobby. But look at the qualities of your activity and maybe look for jobs that match up with that. My hobbies, for instance, are based on being outside. I really like to be outside. I like to just move and be in the sun and be with nature. It's a lot of fun for me and it's very relaxing. My job, however, is inside 100% of the time. So if I had researched this beforehand, I might have gone a different route and picked something in higher education that would allow me to be outside if I still wanted to do that. Now, however, I make sure that I look at the qualities in my job that I do like with my hobbies. For instance, talking to people, I really like that. So this job allows me to do that, and it matches up well with what I want to do with my career. The next question you really need to pay attention to is, what classes are you good at? That's such an important question because so many people here in the Miami-Dade County want to be a nurse, or want to be a doctor, or want to be a dentist. But then they look at the course requirements and they realize, oh my gosh, there's chemistry for the rest of my life pretty much for the next 8 to 12 years, and I don't really like chemistry, or it's very difficult for me. And if it's difficult for you already, well then maybe you should look at a different route. And that's not to say that you can't go into the medical field. You certainly can. But you need to find a way to go into the medical field without relying on classes that you're not really good at. And this is especially important because in the medical field, it's so competitive. And if you're not good at it, you're wasting your time, basically. And that's a hard conversation to have with students. But you need to know this now before you get to that point, because once you're there, it's so frustrating if you've wasted your time. So think about that now, so that way you can make a good plan so you don't waste your time in classes and instead you're making progress the entire time. And then the last thing that you want to ask yourself is, what do you see for yourself? What kind of career do you see yourself in? Not necessarily like, I'm going to be a lawyer, But do you see yourself wearing suits? Do you see yourself working in a high-rise at a big office building, sending memos to other people? Do you see yourself making lots of money? Or do you see yourself making just a regular amount of money and just doing regular things? Do you see yourself in a family with lots of children, maybe no children? Those are very important questions, because then you want to look at a career that can provide that for you. So a lot of people that like helping people, they'll look at social work, but then if you ask yourself why you want to go into social work, which is to help people, and then you ask yourself what do you see for yourself in the future, and it doesn't match up with social work, well then maybe you should find another way to help people so that way you can live the life that you want. So that's a really important question too. Like if I wanted to make tons and tons and tons of money, higher ed probably wouldn't be a really good option for me. And so that's important for me to know. I like a lot of things about higher ed, and I'm okay with the salary, but if I really wanted to be living in a penthouse suite in downtown Miami, driving a very fancy car and wearing fancy clothes all the time, well, higher ed might not be a good option for me. And instead, I could work with students in a different capacity that would allow me to make a lot of money. So those are really good things to ask yourself before you even begin, so that way you waste no time at all. Okay, so the next slide, we're going to actually take a peek at Florida Choices. So the website is here. I think it's clickable, but if it's not clickable, then just type it into your web browser, which clearly you know how to do because you are watching me now on the internet. And this Florida Choices website is a good way to research the careers that you're interested in. There are a lot of things that are very helpful to you, but what I'm going to focus on today is the exploring your career pathways. So I can put that up right now. And the reason why I'm going to focus on that is because Florida Choices is a huge website with so many resources, but we're just doing a 30-minute presentation, and so I don't want to briefly go over a ton of different things. I want to get really into this because I think that's what you want to do too on Florida Choices. But just so you do know, you can play around with the website a little bit, and there are quizzes that you can take to match your personality, match your skills, match all those questions on the previous slide to careers within the website. So it's really, really helpful if you play around with it. So when you are looking at this website, I went to floridachoices.org, and then the first screen that comes up will look a little bit different than the one that I have here. And what you want to look for is this woman in pink. When you look for her, that's what you want to click on, that little section. There's going to be a lot of different people. I want you to find her and click on her. And then what will come up is this screen that you can see here. And I want you to look for the words Explore Career Pathways. And when you click on that, that's basically you're shopping for a career, which is a lot of fun. I actually had a student today. She came in and she said she was really concerned because she was on track to be a dentist. She wanted to go to school for dentistry. And so on her academic plan that we had made earlier, a while ago, were all the requirements to get into dentistry school. One of the very first classes she had to take was an intro chemistry course. And she was not passing, and she didn't like it, and she thought it was so hard, and she felt like, this is not me, I cannot do chemistry, but I do want to be a dentist. What else can we do? So I went to this website and I looked in the medical field, and I looked up a bunch of different options that allow her to work in that field, still make decent money, but it's just not dentistry. So that's kind of what we're going to do now. So what you're going to see when you click on Explore Career Pathways is this screen, and what you'll be able to see is that there are different clusters listed. So for instance, if you're interested in health services or health science, you can click on that and everything related to the health field will come up. Some people want to know what it's like to be a teacher, and that's really important to know before you go into it too. So you might click on education, and there will be all the different education careers listed for you there. And so what you want to do is you want to find a cluster that fits you. So I really like education, obviously. I'm in higher ed, so that's something that I would click on, and then that's where I would see a list of all the different careers within education and play around with it a little bit and find one that fits me and that I like and get excited about when I read it. So if you were to click on a cluster, like for instance for this example, I clicked on health science, this is what the list of careers would look like for you. So again, it's flchoices.org, and you're looking at career clusters. And so what you would see, and what you can see on your screen, is a list of everything under that cluster. So everything listed here is a potential career. So we're going to focus in on one and then look at what that screen looks like. So as if I had clicked on physician assistant, this is the screen that would come up, and every single career has this particular screen, so you can get the same information no matter which one you click on. So when you are exploring the career, there are different tabs on the left hand side that you can see that are blue. You'll see the tab, what do they do? Is this for you? What skills do you need? Those tabs. One of the things that you can do within that is take a skills test, and that skills test is very, very helpful because it's going to ask you important questions about what are you good at. Not just like a science test, that's not what it means, but like working with your hands, working with people. Maybe do you like to move around a lot? Do you like to talk a lot? Do you like to sit a lot? All those kinds of questions that are important that maybe you don't know because you're just doing you every day. You don't think about these things quite yet. So it would be really helpful if you were to take a skills test to figure that out. Another thing that's really important for you to know is what kind of degree do you need, because you can't just go and be a physician assistant just because you want to. You need a certain degree, which I'm sure you know. And under the tab, what to learn, that's where you will find that information. So for a physician assistant, you can see exactly what you need to get. You can see that it's much shorter in degree time than it is to be an actual physician. And then you'll also be able to see on another slide that we're going to do how much money they make and whether or not it's worth it to only go to school for 3 years versus 8 to 12, which I think you'll find it probably is. And then the other important thing that you need to know going into this is what's the pay? How much money could you make in this career? And the reason why I love this tab is because that's really what you're interested in. You're not probably interested in taking a skills test and reading up on all the organizations that are involved. All you want to know is how much money can I make right now and how much money can I make in 5 years. And that tab, Money and Outlook, will do that for you. And this is really, really helpful because my master's degree is in marriage and family therapy. I love families. I love children. I love therapy. I like working for people, working with people. I went to a private school and it was very expensive, so I took out student loans that I will be paying for the rest of my life, and then my children will probably also be paying. It's a lot of money, and that's really unfortunate because if I had gone to a website like this beforehand, I would have noticed therapists don't make very much money, only if you go into private practice, which is very difficult to do. If I had known that, I might have either picked a different school or a different degree altogether if I'm going to be spending so much money. And that's important for you to know as well, because if you go to a private school, which there are a lot in Miami that are very, very expensive, and you get a degree in something that doesn't make very much money, it's going to make you rethink that degree or what school you go to. And it's very important that you know this going into it versus on the other end, like me, where I'm looking back thinking, that sucks. I wish that they would have warned me, or somebody would have, or I wish I would have been smart enough to do my research. So this is a good way to do that now. Okay, so if I were to click on Money and Outlook, the screen that you see here is a close-up of what it looks like. So what you want to see is how much money do you make on average in the state of Florida. Like I mentioned, this is run by the state of Florida, so the information is very accurate and up to date, and it's based on actual jobs that exist here. So when you see that the average annual wage is 40s, 90s, I have no idea. I can't see, it's too small. When you see a number, you know that includes everybody that has just started and everybody that's been in it for a very long time. So it's an average annual income in the state of Florida that's very real and reliable now. And then what you would probably want to pay attention to is entry level, which I can see is $72,000 for physician's assistant, which is fantastic. And then you want to look at your experienced annual income, which is over $100,000 for a physician assistant. The reason why you need to know these things is because when you're straight out of college, you want to know how much money you're making, and that feels really good. But then you also want to know the potential. Like, yeah, I'm only making $72,000 just out of college, but I could potentially make $115,000, and if I stick with it, that's going to be really good. So you want to look at that, and then you want to compare that and how much schooling it requires, which isn't too much, to being an actual physician, which you can make probably triple easily, but you're going to be in school for a very long time. So you want to compare and weigh your options and look at the requirements and see what is doable for you. And so this is a lot of fun. The other thing you want to pay attention to in this section is the market for the career. Yeah, maybe physician's assistants make a lot of money for very little schooling, but how many jobs are there, and are they even hiring? So you want to check that too. And if you scroll through the page, you'll notice how many jobs are in the state of Florida, what the growth rate is, which on average the growth rate for most jobs is like 7 to 11%, which is very low. If it is below that, don't go into it. It's not growing at all. If it is above that, that's good. And if it's in the 20s, that's fantastic, and that's a great market to go into, because that means new jobs are coming up, money is coming into that area, and so that's really what you want to look at. The other cool thing about this area is that you can see per county, so per region. So if you say, I have to live in Miami, my abuela's here and I have to be with her, well, you can look and see how much money they make in Miami compared to maybe Palm Beach or whatever other area that you're interested in, and then that would be helpful too if you're trying to convince your family, this is where I want to live because look, I can make double. It's really good to have your research. So like I mentioned, you want to see if there's even a demand. If you can make $300,000 being a physician assistant, but they're not hiring anybody, well then what's the point? Because then you're going to be making $0 because you can't get a job. So you need to know that, especially the way the economy is now. Is the pay okay? Can you live with it? Everybody goes into college with this fantastic idea that I'm going to make money, I'm going to be rich, but the reality is very few of us are actually wealthy. Most of us make about the same amount of money, anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000, $65,000, and that's okay. And I'm telling you now, $50,000 is okay. It's livable. It's a good life. It's not like you're living in a penthouse suite, driving a Lamborghini, but most of us don't do that anyway. So if that's really important to you, then yeah, go for it. But if not, just understand now, most careers make about the same no matter what you go into. And if it's okay and you like it and you're good at it, then that's something to really pay attention to. Okay, the other thing that you want to pay attention to that I already mentioned is, what do you need to learn? If you click on the What to Learn tab, you'll see the educational requirements. So you're going through all these tabs, figuring out whether or not this fits for you, and then you click on this, and then you see, oh my gosh, I have to finish my AA at Miami-Dade, and then I have to get my bachelor's, and then after my bachelor's, I have to be admitted to medical school, and then after medical school, I have to do an internship. Like, if there's a lot and you feel like, I don't know about this, that's a really good time to pay attention to it. So do you want to be in school that long? If you don't, then you need to know that now, because otherwise you're wasting your time. And the cool thing about Miami-Dade is that we have a lot of associate in science degrees with the medical campus, and so you can do a lot of things in the medical field, which typically requires lots and lots of schooling for years and years, but you can do it for shorter, still make decent money, still have a job opportunities, job growth. You won't make $500,000 a year, but you'll still make really good money, and then you're only in school for a few years versus a whole entire decade, which is a big difference. And so that's a really cool thing to pay attention to. And then, do you know where you will go for each degree? A lot of people come in and they're like, I want to be a pharmacist. It's like, okay, did you know that UF is, I think, the only program in the state of Florida, and if it's not, it's the only reputable one? Well, that's really important to pay attention to, and you need to know that, because you can't just go and be a science degree and then expect to get into a program. You need to research what schools you're going into, including the associate in science degrees here at Miami-Dade. You need to know what our requirements are, what the likelihood is of you getting in, and so on. A lot of students think, oh, if I take Chem to 1033, then I'll get in because that's a prerequisite, but that's not necessarily the case. You could take it and you could get a C, which is passing, but that doesn't mean you're going to get in. You need to know the likelihood that you're going to get in and what those programs are looking for. So that's a really important thing that you want to pay attention to also. So when you look at the education level, I believe that there is a link for you to see what programs are offered in the state of Florida. And so you can click on that and then see what kind of stuff you're looking into, which is really a lot of fun. You can shop around for schools also. Now, if you decided this is what I want to do, I love it, how do I get started here at Miami-Dade? If you follow the link that I have up for you on the screen, you will be able to see all of our different programs and their program requirements. So if you go to that link, it's alphabetized. You can click on, let's say, physician assistant, scroll down to the P's, find physician assistant, click on it, and it will show you at least the prerequisites to get into the program. In order to see the classes in the program, you have to meet with a medical advisor or get in, because they're not going to show them to you until you're admitted. So if you look at this, you can compare physician to physician assistant and compare the levels of schooling, the different kinds of classes in the programs, and all these certain things, and realize, oh, this is a much better fit for me than what I was originally going into, or wow, that's a lot of classes that I really do not want to take. The easiest thing for you to actually do is to come in and meet with your advisor, because we will have a detailed outline of what you need to take, and you can come in with a list of things, careers that you're interested in, and we will be able to say, okay, well, that's what this looks like and this is what that looks like, and then we can talk about how you feel when you're looking at those classes. I know when I do orientations, a lot of students will come in and they'll say, I want to be a nurse, and they'll say, that's great. This is all the math that you have to take. This is all the science that you have to take. How do you feel about that? And they're like, oh my God, I feel awful. I don't want to do that, but I still want to be a nurse. And then we have that conversation. Well, there are lots of different things in the medical field, and we talk about, why do you want to be a nurse? What do you like about nursing? Do you like cleaning up people that have soiled themselves? Because that's what you do as a nurse, along with a lot of other things. And so you get to explore your options a little bit. What does it entail, and then whether or not it's a good fit for you. And so the reason why this whole entire presentation has come together is because the more you know about what you want to do, the faster you graduate. The main goal for every single person that comes into Miami-Dade is just to graduate and get on with their lives and start making money. And that's my goal for you too. I don't want you hanging out for 8 years just to get your associate's degree, or 10 years just to get your bachelor's degree with us. I want you to know what you want, come in, and then pick the right major from the beginning and get in and out and start making money and giving back to your family and giving back to your community. That's what's most important to us at Miami-Dade College. So that's it for the presentation. That's all the information that I have on Florida choices and how I use it in my advising sessions with students. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and type them now, and then I'll be able to answer them. I have just a couple minutes left. What I'm seeing is someone is wondering what careers do make the most money, which is an excellent question. And I just read an article about that, so that's really convenient. Well, first of all, you can go to flchoices.org and play around with that, and that's real, legitimate data from the state of Florida. But some other careers that make the most money for an associate level degree, which is what we are really good at here at Miami-Dade, would be paralegal studies. Makes pretty good money, which is actually fantastic, because if you go to law school, you're going to be in school for a very long time, and you're probably going to make about the same as someone in paralegal studies. So why not just go and get your paralegal studies degree at the associate's level and do that for a living when you could make a lot more for a lot less schooling? Nursing obviously makes a lot of money, but that's going to be a little bit different because it's hard to get into that because you have to be really good. But that's that could potentially be an associate's level degree. Dental hygiene and physician assistant, everything that's just below the full level in the medical degree. So for instance, instead of a physician assistant, or instead of a dentist, you go into dental hygiene. That's going to make a lot of money. Anything with the computers, computer programming, software development, those sorts of things are going to make a lot of money, because look around, we are having this advising session on a webcam. That is computer, that is technology. So if you're really good at that, that's really good to get into also. Oh, actually, I just read this one. This one's a really good question. Do I have to make an account on Florida Choices in order to see this information? And the answer is no. Technically, you don't. I look at it all the time, and I don't have an account. But it is a good idea to make one, because it will save your information. So if you do take the skills test, you need to make an account in order to do that, and then it will save your information, and you'll be able to see what careers it matches you to. And if you want to go back to it, you need to have an account, otherwise it erases everything. So if you just want to shop for careers, you don't need to make one. You can just shop around like I just showed you how. And that's what I do all the time, because I don't really need to find a career. I'm already in one. But if you really want to use it for what it's worth and use everything within the website, then I would recommend making one. It's free, it's easy, you just put in your information and log in every time you want to go, and it saves everything. So that's really helpful. Are there any other questions? I don't see any. If you have any questions about how to begin at Miami-Dade, which makes sense, you're starting, what do you know? You're still in high school, you need to learn these things. Feel free to reach out to either your pre-college advisor or recruiter that's in your school, or stop on by Miami-Dade, and we have an advising office. And right now it's kind of busy and it's only going to get more busy until summer classes start, because we are registering students for summer classes now. But we are still open. You can still come in even if you're not a student, and we can talk to you about these things, and it might help you get a jump start on what career to choose. You can say, these are the things I'm thinking, this is what I'm interested in, what do you think? And then we've been working with these types of students here at Miami-Dade, because that's what we do, for a very long time, so we can tell you what our experiences are, what the experience of students are, and then also what we know about the field and the education and all the requirements that go into it. So anytime you want to come in and you want to talk, we're an open college, so you can come in. You can also email us if you have our email address, or call the advising office, but it's always best to come in person, so that way we can just have a nice relaxed conversation versus saying, okay, well, I don't really know what you're doing right now. You could be driving. So I recommend that as well if you're wondering where to start, and you need information on how to apply, what major to choose, and all those sorts of things, financial aid, everything. All right. I don't see any more questions, and I've been through the entire presentation, so I'm just going to end it here. This was a lot of fun. I hope you had fun too. I really encourage you to check out flchoices.org. You will get tons of information, and you will probably be able to pick a good career right from the beginning versus finding out several years in. All right, so have a great Tuesday, and if you have any questions, maybe I will see you later. Bye.